1,475 days ago, Will Wade was fired at LSU. Spring now, 4 years forward, he's back at LSU. I'm going to say it's a sign of the times, but it's a sign of the times in so many different ways as he leaves NC State after 1 year and now heads back to the Bayou. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus of Gerhard Mathangani. She's Gabriella Genereaux. And we have Patrick Walsh manning our commands here. One of the big things about this college basketball season that's been interesting is showing you so many things that have been different. And really, sports is telling you this as well. Sports is telling you this with Indiana winning a football championship. Sports is telling you this with Will Wade coming back to LSU. We'll diagnose all of it in just a little bit. I wanted to do it in the intro. I'm going to save it for the meat of our show. Coming up on today's show, lots of great topics on hand. We'll talk more about this Will Wade situation. Texas looking to keep their improbable run alive in the NCAA tournament. Oklahoma softball. Stop me if you've heard this before. Smashing records. And SEC rivalries on the diamond coming up this weekend, and a big weekend here in baseball for colleges. One of the things about Will Wade is, and I've said this now twice to Patrick, it's a sign of the times. The times that we're in now are changing in so many different ways. Major League Baseball opened the season on a streaming service. I never thought I would see it. Will Wade talked about paying players.
Right.
Was caught by the FBI, and now that is just happenstance everywhere. And now he's
Correct.
back. Your reaction?
For sure. I think it honestly makes so much sense because the reason that he was fired is the reason all of these programs in today's day and age are turning around their programs, right? So I think he got fired maybe a few months or a year later. All of a sudden, now you can pay players.
Yep.
Now that's how you're going to build your roster. Now that's how you're going to turn around the program. So I think it makes a lot of sense because Will Wade was just doing it in a fashion that was not legal at the time, but now it's legal for everybody to do.
Yeah, the words that I've seen and heard used about this whole situation has been clumsy, has been fumbled, has been confusing, has been weird. Patrick, as you now see that Will Wade is coming back, to me this felt like the most natural thing in the world. And maybe I'm now a part of this crazy world that sports is in. I was just thinking, okay, well that's kind of obvious. But the fact that we got here in the weirdest way possible, feels a little bit like the first cousin to what we saw with their football program and Brian Kelly.
Yeah, and someone, I don't know who it was, but someone made a comment on social media where it was like, imagine you find out that your replacement is hired before you've even been fired. And that's got to be how Matt McMahon felt about this whole situation. He probably heard all of the rumors in the previous days. Obviously, LSU going after the McNeese athletic director, who was instrumental in hiring Will Wade, and they went out and got him. Yep. And by then, it was probably like, all right, you can connect the pieces here, and you can basically assume that Will Wade is going to be back in the boot. But correct me if I'm wrong, they fired him before the investigation was complete a few years ago about the violation. So had they just waited until the investigation was complete,
right,
they probably would have saved yourself the trouble of Matt McMahon. He probably still would have been the head coach of the LSU men's basketball team, and we wouldn't even really be talking about this right now.
Yes.
But it feels like the craziest wraparound of finally getting back to Will Wade that I have ever seen. And I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know if it will work. Very rarely do we see retreads actually work in sports. But,
True.
I mean, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, and this is a different kind of retread because a lot of times your retreads are performance-based.
Right.
They don't perform somewhere, they go somewhere else and perform, and then they come back. This wasn't a performance-based thing.
No.
This was based on, like Patrick said, based on allegations at the time. And Patrick, you brought up a good point about them just not waiting. And if they waited, they might not have been this whole situation anyways. It might have kept Will Wade. But it might be indicative of their entire program. Because think about, if you think about the most rabid fan base, not just in football, I'm talking about in sports.
Right.
LSU's right among them. And I think in the same way that they let their emotions dictate their fanhood, they let their emotions dictate what happened to Brian Kelly. Then the governor let his emotions dictate what happens with the athletic director and not hiring the next head coach. Then they go get Lane Kiffin. I just think that this is all a product of just what it is to be in LSU. And I love Chester Boucher. I love Brian Holland. I love all our friends that represent that school, and they have passions towards that school. But they're the most emotional people, I think, in all of sports. And I think that this is just another sliver of it. just like football, do they end where they want to end? I think so. I think football wanted to get Lane Kiffin. I think basketball wanted to get Will Wade. Did they take the scenic route to get there? Yes.
I do find it interesting because in this case scenario, he was 105-51. That was his overall record.
Exactly.
So it's like he's a guy that you would have wanted to hold on to.
Yes.
Like, he was doing great things there for LSU. The only reason they fired him was because of these allegations, which it's so crazy to even think about now because of the day and age we're in. But it almost reminds me of a scenario when I was at Tennessee. Tennessee fired Jeremy Pruitt for the exact same cause.
Correct.
I think it was 2021. It may have been right before this, but he was handing out McDonald's bags of money, and that was the reason that Tennessee ultimately fired him. But in that case, he wasn't performing well.
Right.
We were 3-10 in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like, it was time for him to go. So it's an interesting comparison because I would have felt like LSU, like, with the changes that were coming, like, why didn't they just wait, like Patrick had mentioned?
Correct. And Gabriella tees up a perfect point here, and I'll go to you first on this one, Patrick. The fact that his resume was so good at LSU before, then he goes to McNeese State, 2 NCAA tournament appearances, goes to NC State.
He's 3 for his last 3.
4. Exactly. I mean, I feel like this seems to me
if
like
I'm not
it should be a home
mistaken,
run.
he's actually 6 for his last 6. He's
Just
made
2 with LSU beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you really want to
I
go,
think if you just take out the COVID year.
but they should have made it that year. If there was a tournament that year, I think he's actually 8 for his last 8.
Yeah.
So that's consistency that LSU hasn't really seen in a while. But I do want to really quick loop back to your point about LSU being some of the most emotional people. It almost reminds me of, there's that kid that goes to school and like he brings all of like these like shiny new toys and he gets literally everything he wants.
Right.
But he goes home to his parents and for some reason they don't give him what he wants one time.
Right.
So then he throws a fit about it and just acts outrageous to his parents. Be like, I want this, I want this, I want this. Starts crying and everything. And they're like, okay, you can finally have it. That's how I feel LSU was about Lane Kiffin, about Will Wade. Oh, come on. We really want Will Wade back. Come on. Get rid of Matt McMahon. Come on. We need a good basketball program again. And I think they're finally like, okay, you know what? Fine. We'll go back to him.
Yeah. And to your point about Jeremy Pruitt, it feels like, okay, well, now you can have him and we can just use the excuse of performance.
Right.
Because Jeremy Pruitt, I mean, I know Jeremy's younger brother. I know Jeremy okay. I know his younger brother really well, Luke Pruitt. I think Jeremy probably would have worked out. Hypo has worked out, so I'm not going to say anything bad about that. But the thing is that he went 3-11, as you said, and that time there, and it just made it seem like, okay, well, this is a perfect time to fire this guy.
Right.
Under the umbrella of all the McDonald's bags and everything else.
Right.
So I'll ask you, let's just take his time at LSU.
Yeah.
And fast forward that amount of time to now. Do you think that he has better, similar, or worse as far as just overall productivity? You can go straight up record. You can go NCAA tournament appearances. You can use success in whatever metric you want.
Yeah, well, I think like what we just talked about, he's made all 8 tournaments. I think he's only continuing to grow and become a better coach. I mean, obviously the programs he had weren't to the standard of what the team he's going to have at LSU now. So that's why I see this as being successful because he's proven that he can be successful at LSU. He's proven he can be successful at these other schools. So why not come back and give him even more of the resources that maybe he was previously using and see what he can do there?
Yeah, I will tease mine here in a bit. I do think that he will have some success here. At the end of this hour, we're going to do our overreactions. And in the overreactions, I'll clarify what I mean by that and all of that, because I'll talk in depth about what I think about what's going on here. So we'll table that for just a second. Patrick, your thoughts on his possible success as he now returns to LSU?
I almost want to go back to some things that we've been talking about as of lately, where what is the pressure level at a certain program? I feel like NC State, when I think of NC State right now, I think of men's basketball. They've perennially been a pretty good men's basketball program. You think of the football team, they're not really that good. Baseball, but I mean, nothing really screams NC State quite like basketball to me, especially with that run to the Final Four just a few years ago. So Will Wade was always going to be the center of attention, and without a doubt, North Carolina is a basketball state. Just look at all of the programs in the state. That is clearly a basketball state. So all the pressure was on him. LSU, there is absolutely zero pressure at all.
None.
I mean, all the
None.
pressure is going to be on Jay Johnson and Lane Kiffin
Yeah.
to get the national championships. They might be, I mean, didn't we have this conversation where we were like, would you rather have a national championship in basketball or football on the show?
I think I think a while ago,
Like
I think
a long time
maybe
ago.
before football season opened up. I remember that being kind of a preseason talking point.
I don't think you could ask, if you were to poll 100 students at LSU, I think at all 100 would be like, yeah, I'd rather have a football national championship.
For sure. But
Yeah.
would you rather have a basketball national championship and a guaranteed for, let's just say you have one football championship
Yep.
and one basketball championship, but you'll guarantee not have another football championship for at least 5 years? Or would you roll the dice and say, we'll take football and then roll the dice, take football, bad at basketball, and roll the dice on multiple football championships? Would you rather have guaranteed success?
If I'm at LSU?
Yes, if you guaranteed success but a dry run, guaranteed success but also a guaranteed dry run in football, or roll the dice and be strictly try to only be good at football?
I would by far and away only be good at football.
Really?
I feel
Yeah.
like LSU holds football. Football is king at
Yeah.
LSU.
Yeah.
Then it goes baseball. Then it goes women's basketball. Then it goes men's basketball. So
Yeah.
I think if I'm a true LSU through and through, which I'm not by any means. I have no affiliation with the university. My friend's an LSU fan, and unfortunately, he's kind of annoying sometimes. Sorry, LSU fans. I would definitely
I think they take it as like a sense of like accomplishment now.
What, that they're annoying?
They're obnoxious. I think they just
Well,
they wear that obnoxiousness on their sleeve.
Here's the thing, though. My friend's also from the Northeast, so don't ask why he
Oh.
likes
Yeah.
LSU. Like, I still don't understand why he does. But he also likes the Yankees, so
Okay.
there's that.
His judgment needs to be
obnoxiousness
called
as
into
well.
question
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah, it does. But I'm not going to get into my teams because everyone can make fun of me for that. But I think they would take a football national championship and just roll the dice on everything else.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think LSU is one of those few places that would enjoy a men's basketball championship, but there's not that
Yeah.
much pressure there to do so.
Well, I was just going to add on to that. I feel like that's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to these SEC schools. I mean, the money making that football does for these SEC schools
Right.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think the night that Tennessee beat Alabama in 2022, and Donnie Plowman came out and said they had like 2,000 applicants just
Oh,
because
wow.
of that win.
Yeah.
And when you look at the school in general, it's booming right now because Tennessee has a successful football program versus
Right.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
They were struggling to get applicants. It was
Yeah.
easy to get into Tennessee. So I just think, the way that it turns around the school and therefore they're getting more money, it just they have so much more success when it comes to a successful football program.
Just look at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I mean, they have had to do so much construction in Oxford to build new housing.
Right.
I can't remember if it was them or some other SEC school
I know Bama
that had to
it's
put
carbon
students
copy.
in hotels.
Yes, yeah.
Because they ran out of housing
Right.
because the boom was just absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There was
you
no
want
way
to
to
know
put
why? It's because of football.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and all those tuition dollars rolling in, and like you said, largely because kids want to be a part of that atmosphere, a part of that
Right.
fire, a part of that fun. We saw it at Alabama. We're seeing carbon copies of it across the country, and maybe LSU might be the next one. Speaking of LSU, this is a clumsy divorce with Coach McMahon, but at the end of the day, what do you think we'll remember of his time there? I'll go. You know what? Before you answer, let me go. Before you answer, let me go first, and I'm only going to give you a short time to answer it. I think this will be forgotten about next week.
I was about to say, what do you remember? That they weren't very good?
Yeah, and this could be a situation. I'm not saying this is going to happen, and this is going to be a hard sell for the Wolfpack. I'm saying that there could possibly be just a switch, and maybe Coach McMahon goes to NC State. Because if you take a look at it right now, NC State, you're the second best job opening in your state. North Carolina's number one. So you're taking whatever comes off of the crumbs, so to speak. I'm talking, metaphorically, obviously. But I think that Coach McMahon, I think he's still a good coach. I don't know if he's elite. I don't know if he could build an elite program. But honestly, I think it could be a Jeopardy question this time next month about who the LSU coach is. And even avid basketball fans wouldn't remember.
I would agree. I mean, he didn't do a whole lot for this LSU team. I think almost even going to NC State might be a stretch for him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, maybe Siena.
Yeah.
Siena needs
Oh,
a new
replace
coach.
GMAC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I can remember about this tenure because it almost feels like it's going to be like, that ex-girlfriend that you had a long time ago, but your new girlfriend, who is now your fiance and you're going to marry her, somebody asks you about, hey, you remember this? And they're like, wait, who?
What?
Who?
Yeah.
I don't remember this. That's almost what it feels like, as long as things work out with Will Wade. That's the one thing. If things work out with Will Wade, I don't think anyone's going to truly remember Matt McMahon. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I do feel bad. Like, people have already forgotten this is the guy that coached John Morant.
Oh, yeah.
That is just something that it seems like everyone has already forgotten about just because his time at LSU didn't really work.
Right. And I think he could find success at a G5 program. Yeah. I mean, there'll be plenty of jobs available. What is it? South Florida's available. I mean, there's a few other.
I think South Florida just
closed up. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, there'll be chances for him, jobs for him. And I don't mean to disparage his name. I just don't think that we'll remember much.
Well, as a Grizzlies fan, I will also say I think people are starting to forget about John Morant.
Well, yeah.
That's very true.
He can't stay out of
the
spotlight for all the wrong reasons.
All right, so way too early predictions for LSU. I'm giving mine later on. You want to hold yours off?
I'll hold mine. That's too hard. You don't even know what the roster is going to look like yet.
I say definitely better than this year. By far.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
I think top half of the SEC next year.
Okay, it's fair.
I mean, they're not going to be world beaters by any means, but they'll. Here's what I'm going to say. They're going to be what Texas was this year. They'll win some games.
And then this be the kind of the surprise.
Yeah, kind of that surprise team. Maybe they'll make the tournament.
Yeah.
I think the way that Roger Wallace from Austin was talking about this Texas team before the year, about how, they got a bunch of new guys. They got some familiar guys. They'll win some games, but they'll also lose some games. That's how I feel like this LSU team is going to be next year.
Yeah.